struggle. Dohrety High School, what's up? Juniors, am I at Dohrety High School? I just want to, give me a old, ah-ooh. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. All right. I just wanted to make sure we weren't at Liberty, because that's where I graduated from. I know. Dohrety High School. Juniors, right now, you're about a month away from being a senior. You know what? You're already seniors. Them seniors are already gone. This is your house now. This is your school. This is your time. Now, I want you to listen to me for a minute. Right here, listen. Starting today, you're going to begin to make decisions that are going to impact the rest of your life. Every single day is an opportunity to start painting your canvas. Many of you guys in here have gone through a ton of stuff already to get to this point, and you have no idea, some of you, what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do next week. But I'm here to tell you that if you start making decisions today, start painting your future whatever you want. I sat in your seat. I sat there. I remember being a junior, almost becoming a senior. I was a kid. I was a good kid. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't do drugs. I was a captain of my basketball team. I was a captain of my track team. I was involved in Students Against Drunk Driving. I had a ton of things going for me. I had dreams and goals and aspirations. I wanted to be a youth speaker. And until today, at 42 years old, it never happened. Somewhere along the line, I began to lose my focus. I began to make small decisions that would have big impacts. There's a word we're going to use today, and it's called character. What is character? Character is who you are when no one's looking. When no one is looking, that is who you are. What you think about is going to manifest itself into small decisions. And those small decisions are going to have some small consequences and some big consequences. And those consequences are not going to only be for you, but they're going to be for your family. They're going to be for your friends. They're going to be for our community. I got out of high school, had a plan, was going to be a youth speaker. I knew I wanted to talk to teenagers. I knew it from a very young age. I had some very good influence in my life, and I said, you know what? That's exactly what I want to do. I went to college on a basketball scholarship. While I was there, I went out all the way to California, far away from my family, and began to make small decisions. My character began to change. The things that I had lived and breathed in high school began to change. And you know what? If you would have walked up to me in high school and said, here, drink this, I would have told you to kick rocks. Here, smoke this. I mean, come on. There's no way I'm smoking that. I was way too smart for that. I grew up in an alcoholic family. I was way too smart to just grab a whiskey bottle and just start drinking. There's an old adage that says, it's the small foxes that spoil the vine. And what that means is that I'm not going to just grab a joint and just start smoking it. That's the big deer. It's the little small hole in the bottom of the gate where the little fox can just go on in and start eating up your garden. I'm going to tell you there's another adage, and it's critical right now, and some of you have heard of it. But it's a parable. It talks about what you reap, you sow. And what you plant will come up. Guys, right now you're beginning to plant seeds. You're beginning to make choices. There are some of you in here that have come from bad backgrounds. There's some of you who have come from awesome backgrounds. There's people sitting next to you that you have no idea what they're struggling with. They come from alcoholic homes. They come from drug abuse homes, broken families. All sorts of different things in this crowd. that you've already had to overcome. But I'm going to tell you today, all the way throughout this speech, that this is the day that you can start making changes. So I got to college, I started making these decisions, and I'll tell you what, it snuck up on me. I met a girl. It's always a girl's fault. I met a girl. And this girl said, you know what? Let's take a wine. Let's go get some wine coolers. This was actually a little bit after college. And at this point, I had been 23 years without having a drink. 23 years. I was a hooper, man. I didn't drink. I didn't party. I wanted to hoop. You're not just going to sneak up on me with this. Well, that one wine cooler that I agreed to turned to 2 wine coolers. And the next weekend it went to 4 wine coolers. And the next thing you know, we had, let's just go ahead and get a cooler full of wine coolers. And then it was just a casual thing, a social thing. I got a job here in town, started making a lot of money at a very young age. Had no idea what to do with it. Started doing all sorts of things, and those wine coolers started becoming beers, and those beers became tequila shots, and those tequila shots became vodka, and I slowly, but slowly, developed a drinking problem. I slowly also developed a little drug problem. I like to smoke a little weed. No problem. That led to cocaine. Cocaine led to acid and mushrooms and on and on and on. And pretty soon, and stay with me, pretty soon, before I even knew it, my entire character had changed. I had become a totally different person than I had started out to be. And I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up to be an alcoholic. So you know what I did? I went ahead and started a family. And no one really even knew. There was a few people in my family that are right here and friends. There was a few people that knew that I was starting to get out of control, but I would hide it. And I started a family, and my family, you see some of these pictures up here, these are my boys. And I poured my time and my heart and my soul, and I coached their football teams, and I coached their baseball teams, and no one knew that secretly I had started compromising my character and making small decisions. Drink. I would start doing it privately. I would put my boys to bed, and then I would drink. But see, I always had a good justification. I always had good rationalization, because you're not an alcoholic unless you drink by yourself, I heard. You're not an alcoholic unless you drink in the morning. Well, I didn't drink in the morning, so I'm not an alcoholic. And I didn't drink ever by myself. My dog was with me. His name was Tangeray. I should have known I had a problem then when your dog's named after alcohol. And time began to happen. Kids, houses, money. And before I knew it, I had lost who I was. I had lost my purpose. See, every single one of you in here, no matter how you feel today, has a purpose. And I want you to understand that. This is not just words from some guy that you don't even know. This is truth. You have a purpose, and the faster you can find that purpose and hold on to it and have every one of your decisions line up with that purpose, the more successful you will be in 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 20 years, because it goes quick. It goes super fast. Just remember, you guys were just in 7th grade the other day. I was just walking my kids to Carver the other day, to Sabin the other day. You're now seniors. You see, my canvas started to get mucked up here. I started to lose what was important in my life. And even though that my kids were the most important thing to me, I started somehow not being able to see that. And pretty soon it started getting crazy. And my life was honestly just a blur at that point. I made a decision on May 21st, 2005, to get behind the wheel of a vehicle. I got in my truck that morning after a long night of drinking, loaded my 2 boys in the back, my cousin in the front. We were going to a birthday party. I had a lot to drink that night. I knew when I was turning the key, that same familiar voice came to my head and said, man, you were way too hungover to drive today. But you know what I told that old familiar voice? I've been used to not listening to that still small voice. I just told him, you know what? I drive better like this. I'm more focused. Turned the key. We left. As we were coming home that day at 4:30 in the afternoon, I entered an intersection here on the northeast side of town. I never saw the car. I hit her going 47 miles an hour with my Dodge Durango. I hit a Honda Civic right in the middle of the intersection. And someone died. My car flipped upside down. We spun, skid. I looked in the back seat. I'm upside down, and as I look in the back seat, I'll never forget that feeling that my boys weren't there. They were gone. I couldn't see them. I panicked. I'm upside down. I asked my cousin, can you get out? She barely crawls out the other side. I couldn't get out of my side. I crawl out of the vehicle. I get out to the other side. I look up and I yell, Jordan! I'm trying to find my boys. My oldest boy stood up from the other side of the car with a 4-inch gash on his forehead. Blood everywhere. He said, Dad, I'm all right. Where's my brother? And let me tell you that there's no worse feeling in your life, no more helpless feeling than when you hurt and you are the reason that you caused the hurt of your own children. And that's what I did that day. I ran across the street to find my youngest son, 30 feet from the vehicle, his scalp completely peeled back. He had landed on his head as an 8-year-old boy. And as I held him, he's screaming, Daddy, I can't see you. And young people, I'm telling you that it's all fun and games. It's one small decision at a time. I never set out to hurt my kids. I never set out to hurt anyone else. There's now a boy that wakes up every single morning the rest of his life without his mom, and I did that. I made that decision. I took that away. I'll cut that short. I went to prison. I got a 10-year prison sentence. And I remember the day that I drove away from my sons in the driveway as they're crying and not completely understanding that they wouldn't see me again for 7.5 years. Tough, right? I was the president of Students Against Drunk Driving in high school. How did that happen? How did it happen? I remember the very first day that we pulled up to Buena Vista Correctional Facility, which is a very, very, very rough place to be. And as I'm shackled right here, and I'm shackled by my belly chain and by your feet, and you're shuffling down the walkway there, I remember thinking to myself, my life is over. I've lost my kids. I've now killed someone. Someone else was in the vehicle that day that would spend a month in the coma. Their families were impacted. My families were impacted. The community is impacted. You talk about being at your bottom. That's rock bottom. I'm getting escorted by one of the largest men I've ever seen in my life, and I'm 6'4", 255, so when I say that, understand this was a large man. And he was an inmate rep. And his eye was split open from eyebrow to eyebrow. His name was Killa. Who's the one that got him? I was ready. Shackled. Go in. It's an old 120-year-old prison. Still had bars. One of the only prisons in the state that has bars. And as they shut that door, I remember that feeling. And I sat on my bed, and I looked out, and there was a clock like that one on the wall right there, except it was a lot bigger. And it was right on the other side. There was a little walkway here. There was my cell, a row of cells. And on the other side, there was this clock. And it was so quiet because it was so early in the morning, and I could hear this. Tick, 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 tick. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a very long 10 years. So what'd I do? What could I do, right? There's only one thing to do when you're at bottom. You got to get out. I got to get out. I got to make this right. I grabbed the paintbrush of my life. My canvas was black before. Prison bars. And I picked up the brush and I said, you know what? I'm going to begin today to make myself a new future. And it's exactly where you guys are at right now. You don't have to go to prison, but the statistics say that some of you in here will be in prison. Hard to believe, right? It was real hard to believe for me as I was sitting here as a junior in high school. But that's the statistics. So what I do, the cell next to me, the guy was up, and I said, hey, you got any paper, man? And he slid a piece of paper through the deal and slid me a pen. And I began to just write down some things on what kind of man I wanted to be, what kind of dad I wanted to be. I was so-called a great father. Great father doesn't get in a vehicle with his kids when he's drinking. That's not a great father. And I began to say to myself, what do I want to do? I need to restore my relationships with my family, the ones that had been broken and damaged. I need to go ahead and take back my life. At that point, I was a 307-pound guy. I had let myself all the way go. I did 9 push-ups the first day in jail. 9. And they were terrible. I wanted to read X amount of books. I set a goal for myself that I wanted to read 800 books. I wanted to be able to get back in shape. I wanted to finish my degree that I had quit on after my freshman year in college. I wanted to do so many things, and I just began to write, and tears were just pouring down my face. And I said to myself, this is where it ends, Vaughn. This is it. Because you know where I was? I was right in the middle of my character. Remember when I said the character is who you are when no one is looking? Well, no one was looking at me that day. No one was. It was me and a pen and a paper. And so I began to take those steps. And I'm going to make this quick. I walked out 2,530 days later. It's a long time, right? You guys were 9 years old when I went in. When I walked out, set 2 DOC weightlifting records of all time in the state of Colorado. I only say that to say this. A guy that did 9 push-ups completely transformed himself. I walked out with my degree. I learned how to speak Spanish. I read 950 books. I had spare time. I began to build relationships back with my family. And I'll tell you what, there was not a day that I didn't count down. And I knew that one day that I would stand in front of you guys. I knew it. I knew it. And I met a man in prison, and his name was Chaplain Dan Matchey. He's the head of chaplains in all DOC. It's this man right here. Wave your hand, Chap D. And I met him, and he was our chaplain. And I got involved in a program called 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, and it began to change my life. And I began to look at how my decisions that I made affected all those around me. I began to look at my character. I began to make the changes necessary. I got involved with this man, and we began to teach inmates. And we would take 40 inmates of the hardest inmates, lifetime sentence guys that were never going to see the light of day. And me and about 7 other men and Chaplain Dan, we would walk these men through this program and show them how to live a more effective life while they'll never, ever get out of prison. And there was men in there, their lives were changed forever. One of my best friends, his name is Dave Coleman. Dave Coleman spending a lifetime in prison, 40 to life. He decided that he was going to make a quick decision as a 21-year-old kid. He's now in his 50s, and he's still in prison. And that 1 second that he decided to pull the trigger ended his life, free life, and someone else's life. But let me tell you, this man makes more impact than anyone. And I only say that to say this, that every single thing that you guys do, you will have a positive or a negative result. Don't think that you're just walking down the halls and it has no bearing. If you can't remember what you did yesterday, then that was gone. Today's the day you got to pick this brush up and you got to begin to paint your future. And some of your guys' futures already was painted for you a long time ago. Some of you came into less than encouraging environments. Some of you guys have been through a lot. But you guess what? Man, your junior year is over. You got your own canvas, man. You got your own canvas. I want to talk to you quickly about a man named Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl is one of my favorite human beings of all time. Viktor Frankl was in the Nazi concentration camps. This man is an incredible man. His entire family was thrown into the camps. Most of his family was burned in the ovens. His parents, his wife. And he recalls a time where he was sitting in a dark room, naked, being tortured, because they would just use him as experiments. Hooked up to electrodes, wet, cold. Family gone. Everything that this man loved was taken. But he picked up the brush. He came up with a concept that is called the last of the human freedoms. He's now a famous psychologist, and I'll tell you this. The last of the human freedoms says that it doesn't matter what they do to me. What he said was, as he was sitting in the chair, he saw in his own mind's eye, so he pictured himself, his own face up in the corner of the room. And he saw himself speaking to thousands and thousands of college students and sharing his story of how he's overcoming. This man was doing it while he was naked, tortured, and just lost his family. That's what I'm talking about. And guess what he did? He went on to be a professor, a psychologist, and he went on to teach college students. Thousands and thousands and thousands, and went on to write many books. But he painted his future. The last of the human freedoms, what is it? You can take everything from me, but you cannot take the freedom of how I choose that this situation is going to affect me. Right? This is a time in your lives that you will never, ever get back. Over the next 12 months, you're going to make decisions, small ones. And over this next few months, some big ones. Some of you are already thinking about where you may want to go to school. Some of you are thinking about what you want to do in the military. But I'm going to tell you that this is a dangerous, dangerous time. More teenagers in America die in this 3-month stretch than any stretch because they decided to make one small bad decision. All right. Before we get into this, real quick, Matt, I want to bring somebody up here. And I know this has been like, you guys are like, wow, this dude is intense. But I am intense. I don't have any more time to waste. And I still have sons to raise. And the person I'm going to bring up here was that little boy that was on the concrete with his head split open and 87 staples to hold it back together. He's one of you. He's in your class. Bus, come on up. Give him a hand.
Good job.
All right.
So, 13 and a half inches of my scalp was ripped off and consequently in a choice that I didn't make. And some of you have had that same thing where you didn't make a choice, but you have felt the impact. And I have definitely felt that impact. And you can see it right here every day. 13 and a half inches. So what I'm doing up here is to tell you guys that you have the choice now to paint your own canvas. I'm painting my canvas, and that's why my friends see me. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't go to parties. And I'm not telling you guys not to do it. I'm just telling you that it's your choice. You paint your own canvas.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Right on. So now you know why he's got that big scar on the back of his head and wears a Fountain Fort Carson leather jacket around school. Bet you guys are wondering, what is wrong with this dude? Are they out of Dohrety jackets at All American Sports? All right. Some reasons that you don't want to drink at prom season. Number one, you might forget the night. You don't want to forget prom night. Number two, you're going to embarrass your date. Guys, don't be that person. Don't be that guy. You're going to ruin your reputation. I'll tell you this, every little small thing you do that is really stupid will be remembered by all of you for the rest of high school. You get kicked out. You could get suspended. You could be arrested. Or there's worse. There's a lot worse. Motor vehicle crashes are the #1 leading cause of death amongst teens. This is not a joke of a statistic. Let this soak in today. Last year, during prom and graduation season alone, April, May, and June, just April, May, and June of last year, 676 high school students were killed in alcohol-related traffic crashes. That's 1 in 3 of the national total for all ages. Guys, this is real. If you ever remember one assembly, the rest of your high school, remember this one. Chaplain Dan always says a famous quote. You know, I'm stealing a lot of your stuff. He always says you can't talk yourself out of things you behave yourself into. Guys, this is a big, big time in your life, and you got great big futures. I want you to understand that with every single decision that you make, you will begin to plant seeds, and these seeds will grow. And whatever crop at the end, at the point of my crash, I remember so crystal clear as I'm going from prison or jail to the hospital, to jail to the hospital. And I remember as I was standing in the parking lot of the hospital, and I had just walked in to see both of my boys come out of reconstructive surgery. And I'm standing there in the hospital, And it was like I was looking at my entire life, and I thought to myself, how did I get here? How did my garden get so many weeds in it? What happened? What happened was I never pulled the weeds out. I never took time to water my plants. I lost focus. Guys, I hear, and we have a couple minutes, I hear all the time about peer pressure. Come on, man. Come on, don't be that guy. Don't be that woman. You have a chance right now to make your future. To be honest with you, since I graduated from high school, I may have seen like 6 people. This is your life right now. Take it. Man, get the good grades. Take advantage of every opportunity that Dohrety High School gives you. Put as many keys on the chain as you can right now, because you never know what door you may need to open in the future. Guys, you're loved. You're cared about in this community by this staff. We care about you, and that's why I came today. I'm not getting paid for any of this. I came here today, and my family came here today, and my brother is back here today, and my son is here today because we care about you. So as you walk out, and Bus, you want to go ahead and organize that real quick? As you walk out, we made a board for the administration, for Mr. Vigil. We thank you so much for letting us come. And it says, Dohrety commits on it to paint your future. As you walk out of here, I want you to grab a blotter, and I want you to make your mark on that board. Just quickly make it, hand it to the next person as you go out the doors. And what that represents is it represents you saying, I commit to making a good decision right now, every day, and especially at prom season. I want to go to your graduation, not your funeral. Is that right? Dohrety High School. Listen, I'm right here with you. You're going to see me in the stands at the football games. You're going to see me everywhere because I'm one of you. I'm really not a Lancer anymore. I'm a Spartan. Give me ooh-ah. Ah-ooh. 1, 2, 3. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Dohrety, you have a great day, and thanks for having us.
Hi, I'm Dennis Field, principal of Dohrety High School, and we were privileged to be among the first to have Vaughn Littrell speak, a very powerful speaker who kept an audience full of juniors in rapture for 40 minutes, and that in itself is a pretty good feat. So I just want to thank him for being here at Dohrety High School and speaking to our juniors and seniors.